I'm a man.
Oh, I'm a man.
I'm a man, man.
I'm a man.
I'm a macho man.
I'm a macho man.
I like ribeye steaks.
I lift barbell weights.
I can fit an entire can of Foster's in my mouth.
Is that Dave?
Anyways, you think I'm afraid to get my hands dirty?
You think I'm afraid of bears?
Bears. Grrr.
I'll tell you another thing I'm sure as shit not afraid of. Women.
All of my besties are women.
Walls?
I mean, everyone in my book club is a woman.
Last year, I did a wine tour in Tuscany with women.
I'm physically attracted exclusively to women.
Ew, gross.
A woman wants to be president? Well, I'm man enough to give her my full-throated support.
You already had me at full-throated.
Because I'm man enough to raw dog a flight.
I'm man enough to raw dog an
Because I'm man enough to support women.
Brilliant work. Dave Landau, Alex Stein, and a bunch of other people came together and, of course, made this satirical video about all the support for Kamala Harris, which seems non-existent in the male population, except for celebrities that are connected to P. Diddy and the satanic, very weird Hollywood industry, as, of course, a lot of celebrities are being used by Kamala Harris, and it looks like they're not having any impact or effect at all. Whether if it's Eminem, who was seen here in this particular very strange video all the way back a few years ago, Usher, Lizzo, and of course, there's a lot of other people that we'll be talking about here in just a little bit, as there's a lot of serious questions about this kind of larger industry, its seediness, and what probably is a larger extortion effort underway here that is pressuring a lot of these people to say, hey, yeah, we support Kamala. Yeah. This meme, I think, captures it perfectly as it highlights celebrities endorsing Kamala. You scroll down, and it's the deep state with the Diddy tapes pressed against them that represents a gun against their back. What do you guys make of this? Because a lot of this looks absolutely just scripted, looks absolutely fake, looks absolutely disingenuous. You could kind of sense it. You could kind of feel it. Do you think these people legitimately are trying to get you to vote for Kamala Harris?
Eminem is that dude that Dave Chappelle warned you they would turn you into.
Yes.
I've just been following your feed, Luke, with all this stuff, and I wanted to post earlier today when you did one of these. I was like, stop, he's already trans.
No.
That is true.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I went on a tirade and I started posting all these kind of weird, compromising photos and images that Eminem released himself a couple years ago. This one I released with the caption, this is Eminem getting ready for the Diddy party.
Plump those lips up. Baby, look at that. Ooh.
Like when Phil said this, like dress up as a Britney thing, I was like, yeah. I don't think I really put much thought into it, yeah. I'm keeping it gangster, homie. I'm keeping it gangster. I'm keeping it
This is
real.
like these Tupac prison videos where he's just like completely domesticated.
It's all about keeping
pretty
it
much.
real.
As of course, this seems like the overwhelming kind of theme.
The poor
in
guy.
Hollywood.
I mean, look, they got dirt on him. The poor guy's, like I said, he doesn't even know. He's saying all these people to support war. We make America healthy again. We got Bobby Kennedy. We got all these good things with the other side right now. We've never had Elon Musk. We don't have the Boltons of the world. We don't have the Pompeos. And then Eminem's out of touch with his audience. I used to listen to him, and now I think he's a fraud, you know? And you see all these people, and what's a good thing about this time around is 2016, 2020, there was no people, you know, openly supporting Trump. Now there's all these people, Zach Levi, all these celebrities, all these musicians, all these people are coming out and proud to support Trump. It's a different vibe this time around.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of funny. You asked earlier if you think these celebrities are actually trying to support Kamala, but it's funny. I don't know if you saw the Lizzo clip. Or
yes.
Yeah.
Sadly, I did.
So Lizzo was like, you know, they're saying if you want to make America into Detroit, or like if you vote for Kamala, she's going to turn America into Detroit. Well, I think that's great, or something along those lines. Does she actually, or is that her way of?
She
being
got paid $2.3 million for that.
Allegedly, I haven't confirmed.
Sorry, allegedly.
That.
Yeah,
I haven't seen
she's
confirmation of
allegedly
that.
getting paid for it. Maybe she's getting forced by the deep state, whatever. But she's definitely trying to let us know, guys, they're gonna turn America into Detroit, and I'm from here, so don't do that. I mean, Detroit is Detroit, you know.
Yeah, it's an utter shithole. I've been in Detroit a couple years ago, and it was a crazy, surreal experience. I went into third world countries. I've been all over the craziest places in the world, in some of the most like craziest ghettos, the barrios all over Latin America, the craziest places in Africa. That was on par to one of the craziest places with all the abandoned buildings, to all the kind of lawlessness. Private police officers thrived in Detroit because of the lawlessness that overtook that country. So I think Lizzo was kind of being genuine there.
Yeah.
To be quite honest, because
Yeah.
that's the way that we're kind of, that's the direction that we're kind of moving towards in. But I want to play this clip from Eminem because I think he did represent a previous cultural icon. He did represent someone that did stand up for free speech. If you remember, back in the 2000s and then the 1990s, the Republicans were the ones saying, we got to ban speech. We got to ban entertainment. We got to ban music. They are the ones taking CDs from individuals and stomping them out in protest, saying, we cannot allow this form of entertainment. We can't allow these video games. We can't allow these songs to be out there. And now it's such a very weird, interesting twist. There's so much cognitive dissonance here. These larger cultural figures like Howard Stern and Eminem that were some of the most kind of flamboyant, some of the biggest pushes of the Overton window that are now coalescing against Kamala Harris that wants to, of course, shut down free speech, and, of course, censor people's ability to express themselves freely. That's the larger issue here, and it's kind of really shitty to see something that was actually very entertaining, that Republicans called to censor before. Now he's a part of the party of censorship.
You see how a lot of people got in there. I mean, you spoke of Howard Stern. It's like I grew up liking him. I don't know how you guys felt about him, but I resonate a lot more with Joe Rogan. I would never listen to Howard Stern. And you see he's having Kamala on. He's saying he hates Trump supporters. And you see how the dynamics have changed. And you just wonder, like, what has gone on? Are they getting paid to do this behind closed doors? Are they, what is really going on? Because it's a little weird when these people come out disingenuous and they're supporting war and they're supporting censorship and they're supporting all this darkness.
Well, for me, the weirdest part is the censorship. Yeah, I mean, they're going to support whatever party they want to support, but it's weird because we talked about the flip-flopping earlier. It makes sense for them to be liberal when the liberal party is the party in support of free speech and for freedom of media. And so that's why it makes sense for Howard Stern and for Eminem to be on the side of the liberals. But as soon as that changed, why in the world would you stay with the party that wants censorship, who thinks you can't say? I mean, isn't Eminem's one of his favorite words is the F word?
I think you have a lot of sponsors for advertising that are not going to support you anymore if you don't. I think there's a lot of factors that go into it.
And hasn't the Democrat Party, as of recently, especially the younger generation, haven't they tried to cancel Eminem like a million times for being like, oh my God, he's mean to gay people? So like,
now they need him.
They're the ones who are trying to cancel him, and yet he's out there still supporting, this sort of censorship. I don't understand it. It is really weird. It is just like that meme that you posted.
Someone's messing with us in the simulation, Mikey.
Well, listen, I mean, it's distribution. The music industry is a distribution game, and the institutions determine the distribution, and when the institutions want a particular candidate to win, you either do the Taylor Swift endorsement or you get your distribution short-circuited and you get limited access to radio, to streaming deals, to venues. I mean, this is, they canceled Andrew Schultz's venue like right after he, 18 minutes after his Trump interview ended. And this guy was selling out Madison Square Garden multiple times. But I mean, I don't want to rehash this because last time I was on your show, Luke, we did like a 2.5-hour deep dive on the CIA and the music industry. But, it's this foreign policy establishment that is propping up Kamala Harris, and they're using music as an instrument of statecraft here, the same way we did with jazz diplomacy in the 1940s and exporting rock and roll to the Iron Curtain to get people into a sort of rebellious, anti-authoritarian thing and hold these outdoor concerts, which basically simulated people taking to the streets against the government. Same way that we penetrated the rap community in Cuba and the CIA cut out NED and USAID sponsored the San Isidro movement and basically had them write the revolution anthem to overthrow the government there. I mean, this is the same reason the Atlanta Council just gave Dua Lipa a leadership award. Dua Lipa, the Albanian ethnic born in Kosovo, who is doing this sort of worldwide political campaign to throw the State Department's enemies in Serbia in jail. And she's been using her platform and her music and audience to convert that into political leverage. And so NATO's top think tank, the Atlantic Council, with 7 CIA directors on its board and annual funding from the Pentagon and the State Department, gives Dua Lipa a music leadership award because she's helping the military accomplish the civilian goal, which is to unseat the government of Serbia and get it back in the vassal state box. But it's the same thing with all these artists. It's the same reason Miles Copeland III, grandson of one of the founders of the CIA, music producer who was called to the Pentagon 4 times by Donald Rumsfeld to organize music conferences in Afghanistan, Iraq, and like 3 or 4 other countries. That's your distribution. He was the manager of Sting and the Police and like a dozen other major rock bands. There's a great clip from Donald Trump where he's asked by Ali G, Sacha Baron Cohen back in the day, like, what's the most popular thing in the world? And Ali G is like trying to sell him ice cream, so he thinks Trump's going to say ice cream. But Trump is just very independent, not seeing where he's going, and he says music. And I think that's very piercing, actually, to how these whole of society mobilizations take place culturally. The State Department is flying Louis Armstrong around on jets to Africa in order to set him up as a prop to African diplomats so they should side with the U.S. instead of the Soviets during the Cold. That was the 1940s. The CIA was exporting Greta Garbo films, into Italy to try to tilt the 1948 election. These people's jobs at the top of the chain, when it comes to the agencies, when it comes to the distribution networks, it's about, can you be an asset to us? If you put a favor to us in the favor bank, it will be repaid with your distribution. And Eminem is a dude who is clinging for relevance and seemingly for life. And so this is all he's got left. He doesn't have any hit singles.
Well, there's also a lot of history of substance abuse that sadly a lot of kind of central controllers could use in many kind of sinister, awful ways as well. So I think when you look at the larger kind of system and the apparatuses that they use a lot of drugs in order to not just brainwash people, but to control people. And it's weird seeing all of this. As of course, last time we were together, we discovered how Marina Abramovich had her own page on the U.S. State Department website, highlighting how a lot of the arts, a lot of the entertainment, a lot of the music is usually centrally controlled and used as a tool by the establishment and the deep state in order to kind of send out their larger messaging to the general public. And that's why I think a lot of people need to be aware that sadly a lot of people who have made it in the industry usually are compromised or are individuals that are playing a bigger role that a lot of people aren't aware of when they're consuming their, quote, entertainment.
Can I say something about the drug thing real quick? And then I'll turn.
No. Go ahead. That's why you're here. We want to hear from you, Mike.
Yeah.
Then we're turning off your mic.
That's sorry, different. But I actually think there might be something more sinister going on with the intersection between rap music and drugs and some of these other things and drugs, which is that what they've built essentially in the inner city, in Chicago, in Baltimore, in LA, is a distribution network for drugs whose sourcing comes from Colombian and Mexican cartels who have had, at this point now, a 70-year relationship with the Pentagon and the Central Intelligence Agency, and who functions as the paramilitary arm of U.S. intelligence to control the internal politics of Western Hemisphere countries, from Latin America to South America. And this drug culture is, glorified in music, creates this distribution network, which ends up netting basically revenue for military and paramilitary activity in Latin and South America, which is, obviously everything from Mexico, and Mexico is basically southern Texas in terms of the oil deposits there. It practically shares it with the Permian Basin. That's why Exxon and Chevron, Shell, Phillips Conoco, everyone's in Mexico. And this is what Fast and Furious was. The major scandal that got Eric Holder held in contempt and then tossed out of the Justice Department as the Attorney General it was an interagency National Security Council Council approved program that was technically run by the FBI and ATF, but it was approved by the Pentagon, the State Department, the CIA, and the National Security Council. So they could have just been implementing the State Department policy there. But basically what they were doing is they were running guns to the Sinaloa cartel in order to knock out the Zetas, because the Zeta cartel had just robbed like $5 billion worth of oil of U.S. oil companies who are partnered with the Mexican government or with Mexican private oil companies. So their profits were being pilfered essentially by a rival gang, and we couldn't just send in fighter jets to militarily attack another country. So we had to pump up our own paramilitary to back them. The Sinaloas also happen to be the main artery for drugs into this country, and the route drives straight to Chicago, where you have essentially, Peruvian or Bolivian or Colombian sourced drugs. They get warehoused in Mexico. They get driven straight to Chicago. You have these African-American urban gangs who distribute them. You have this pop culture, which creates this big market for it. And what do you get? And at the end of the day, those revenues are going right back to the cartels, which are sponsored by the Pentagon and intelligence. This is why they hate Trump's idea of bombing Mexico. There are levels of agreements there that I don't think Trump world, because they're so focused on domestic policy and they had really no background in the international world of intrigue and international affairs in this. I think that common sense is walking into a rattlesnake.
Absolutely. The first thing that kind of came to mind was the story of Gary Webb, an investigative journalist that broke the Iran-Contra story, detailing exactly what you were describing here, specifically how the CIA was using real individuals like Freeway Ricky Ross. We interviewed him, by the way. He's on this. He's on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/wearechange. You might be able to find that if Google allows you to see it. But I remember interviewing this man, and he specifically detailed larger elements that organize and orchestrated a large portion of the crack epidemic that was largely influenced by your tax dollars. So when we look at these larger kind of operations, it's not just blackmail. There's a lot of other things behind the scenes. Mike Cernovich just tweeted, you could tell, quote, Mark Cuban hates being there. Poor bastard must really be under blackmail or some shit. Highlighting a video of what looks like dread on his face there. He doesn't look too happy. He doesn't look too enthused.
Please stop misgendering Mark Cuban. She is a proud lesbian, and we should support her in her transition.
Yeah, the Medal account, I've been following her other account, and one time he just bashes Trump all day. He says he did his friend dirty, but now he's saying that he'll come out America first and he'll jump on his team if he's asked to. He's not going to be asked to. All he's done is there's not one good thing. Trump can save the world from a plague, and he would be like Trump's Hitler. He's just nothing. It's all negative. It's really sad what's happening. I love Shark Tank, and I'm just really bummed because I used to like Mark Cuban.
I used to like Mark Cuban, but then he lost a bet to me. Now he owes me $100, and he never paid.
Does he really?
Mark Cuban does owe me $100, and I'm still bitter about it. I
What was
bet
the
him
bet?
that Trump would beat Hillary.
2016.
Yeah.
That's accruing interest. The VIG is running on that.
Yeah, the interest now is pretty high.
Yeah.
The interest rates are pretty killer, as I found out myself dealing with my own problems. Are
these people all eating the same thing, though? Like, how does Macho face happen to so many of these people?
Adrenochrome.
They all do have the same kind of weird look on their face. Here's a clip of Slim Shady during his address here that looked very authentic, very natural.
You lied through your teeth. For that, your feelings instead of
Detroit! What up, though?
Bunch of libtards, and he's just like, it's just weird, man.
So look, I wrote down a few things I wanted to say. I love you too. Thank you.
You mean you were handed a script?
I'm here tonight for a couple of important reasons. As most of you know, the city of Detroit and the whole state of Michigan mean a lot to me. And going into this election, the spotlight is on us more than ever, and I think it's important to use your voice. So I'm encouraging everybody to get out and vote, please.
For Donald Trump.
I also think that people shouldn't be afraid to express their opinions. And I don't think anyone wants an America where people are worried about retribution or what people will do if you make your opinion known.
Unbelievable.
Are you kidding me?
What?
Oh, come on.
What party is
I
this
think Vice
for?
President Harris
Censorship party,
supports
Democrat.
a future for this country where these freedoms and many others will be protected and upheld.
This is a Republican speech.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
Someone get this guy to the GOP convention.
They could have at least put it on the teleprompter, him literally reading it off. I mean, he's a performer. He's used to, of course, speaking his mind and performing in front of people.
He's an actor in 8 Mile.
This literally seems like a humiliation ritual.
I agree.
And I think his comments are about to end soon. I think his comments were very, very short.
And here to tell you much more about that, President Barack Obama.
Man.
It's not as bad as the Paramore one.
It's like they took...
That's it. That's all he had to say.
Former president.
No, you're good. It's like they took somebody's speech from the RNC and literally just swiped it and handed it to Eminem. That is crazy.
Yeah. Usher also was there on the battleground states. You can only imagine what kind of potential extortion they have on this poor guy. Here's his kind of larger endorsement of Kamala.
I love you more, but I love Kamala Harris even more.
Bullshit. He was on The View, and he didn't endorse anyone.
True.
I want her to be our next president of the United States.
No, they got Blackmail on you, homie.
Yeah, that P. Diddy stuff.
And we can do it, but we're going to do it together. One more time.
At least he's not looking down.
Be ready. What? Come on, Georgia.
Poor, he just takes advantage of weak-minded people. It's really sad.
What? One more time. One more time.
In other related friends close to P. Diddy, we have this post going
I
very
hope
viral.
Usher does Confessions Part 4, where he just like tells us what actually went down here.
That'd be good.
Like I had some tax debt. They told me they would sort of waive it if I said this.
On his deathbed, dude. That'd be sick. Hopefully.
Yeah. Usher, also the child star that was taken under the wing of P. Diddy Combs and sent to a lot of his crazy behind-the-scenes white parties that, of course, he talks about how wasn't very, very nice. And he talks about how he wouldn't have his kids there. But, yeah. Other related Diddy friends is, of course, Ashton Kutcher, as this tweet also is going viral right now, showing him modeling from Abercrombie and Fitch in 1998. And now there's a larger scandal surrounding that entire company as well, as the CEO there has been charged with human trafficking.
It's all coming out. It's interesting because he was charged. Remember the murder case that he was involved with? The girl he was dating got murdered, and they never investigated him. Are you guys not familiar with that case?
Yeah, we know about it.
No, I don't.
I know.
Really? Yeah, no. Ian
called.
Carroll
and he
did a really
said-
good video on it.
That's what it was. Yeah, he called and said, "Look, you might see my fingerprints on the doorknob. I was like kind of dating this girl, but I went to go check on her or something like that."
He said he saw
called
wine
it.
on the carpet. You got to look into this. It's really interesting. He never got investigated thoroughly
Ashton
by any
Kutcher.
means. I'm not accusing him of being a murderer. I'm just saying it was weird they didn't investigate him. He was dating her at the time. All of a sudden, he said there's blood on. There's not blood. There's wine on there. He said he saw wine. He called his manager and agent. No, it's really happening.
It's weird because I thought
Joe
Ashton
Scarborough
Kutcher-
also had a very interesting story with one of his interns that is very similar to that. I don't know if you heard about that one, Mike, but that one's deep down the rabbit
I
hole
did.
as well.
I did, but the Ashton Kutcher thing's interesting because there's like some weird CIA Ashton Kutcher stuff.
Yes.
You can. I forget what it is. It was so many years
He
ago.
did. He did a lot of kind of PR for international causes.
Yes.
And I think he did it for international human trafficking.
Yes.
Which highlights. Wait, hold on here. Some larger kind of questions about his larger involvement with the intelligentsia.
Didn't he testify in front of Congress saying like, "Hey, I'm out there risking my bum. I'm just some actor." And
He's doing a lot with his bum.
I'm out. I'm out here saving young girls from trafficking, and I'm just some dumb actor. The CIA and the FBI should be on this. Why am I doing the work? And so it's so. And then he defended his actor friend from that '70s show from his
Danny
crime.
Ashton. Maybe
Yeah.
Bruce Willis. Do you know he started banging your girl Demi Moore? Maybe Bruce knows.
We have an article here from Rolling Stone. Ashton Kutcher, who sought leniency for convicted rapist, resigns from sex trafficking prevention organization.
Yes,
Wow.
so
Yeah, there's that.
There's some other stuff too with him though. I remember watching an interview. I'll have to find it under the table here. But then the Abercrombie thing is obviously very interesting. I have come back time and again to Zoolander with a renewed appreciation for how deep and incisive a cut it is into the intelligence world. I mean, if you just think about this, right? I mean, between the limited brands, the Victoria's Secret, the Abercrombie, I mean,
Balenciaga.
yeah, but like the plot of it was you had this Malaysian prime minister who was going to pass internal laws in a foreign country that were going to impact the profits of U.S. multinational exporting fashion brands, and they relied on that labor for their profits, and and so it was basically an intelligence operation to assassinate a foreign president who was going to pass a law that would hurt the financial interests, of this. And I just think it's just so fun. First of all, Donald Trump makes a cameo in it, which is really funny, but it is just kind of funny where it's like they brainwash him. And it's like the thing that makes it so funny, I think, as a teenager is you're like, this would have a totally different vibe if they were wearing military regalia or it was like an Illuminati meeting. But the fact is it was just the fashion industry. And you're like, well, it's the fashion industry.
Right.
That's what makes it funny and that you can laugh at it because there's no chance that it's real. And then you're like, Epstein, this Abercrombie stuff,
Weinstein.
This is like,
yeah, and all these other kind of larger, Les Wexner and all these other kind of larger human traffickers out there as well that are all connected to the CIA. I think it was, I forgot who it was. I don't know if it was Tucker Carlson, but someone made the comment that all these larger pedophiles are supporting Kamala Harris because they know that under Donald Trump presidency, they're going to be exposed as pedophiles. In totally unrelated news, we have Bill Gates saying that he is privately backing Kamala Harris with a $50 million donation. Just totally unrelated. As of course, now we're going to go to callers, and we'll talk about Bill Gates extensively.
Have you seen the picture of Bill Gates' wife?
Ex-wife. They divorced because, according to her, he wouldn't stop hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein.